Hello everybody, Bruce here with part 2 of the week 1 lectures on HTML. So let's get at it. Some tags have some additional information provided with them, and this additional information is known as an attribute, and some tags may have more than one attribute, right? So we'll say that tags can have one or more attributes, right? And they're given in this format after the tag, right? But still within the closing angle bracket, as name equals value pairs or name value pairs inside of the opening tag. You're not going to see, right, attributes in the closing tags, okay? So if you go back to the head section, right, of the CTEC 112 document, you can see here in the third bullet, it says meta charset equals UTF-8, right? And charset is the attribute, and then you have the attribute value there as UTF-8. Now, notice there's no space between the equal sign on either side, and you have, double quotes around the attribute value, right? And different tags take different attribute values. Some are optional, as you'll find out, and some are required. Now, here's just a table, right, from the textbook here. That lists a whole bunch of HTML tags, okay? So the doc type, the HTML tag, the title tag, the head tag, the body tag, paragraph, horizontal rule, H1 through H6 tags, the bold tag, the italic tag, the pre-tag, and the anchor tag, which we have not covered yet, the image tag, and the break tag. Now, you'll notice that the anchor and the image tags, again, towards the bottom there, have these additional attributes. The anchor tag has this href equals, right? And then the image tag, the img tag, has this attribute called src, or source, okay? So pay attention to that. We'll go through it. Okay. Now, in class on Tuesday, I gave you the example that's listed in the first bullet point, where pretend you had a mathematical expression that says 0 is less than p is greater than r, right? And if you tried to code that in your HTML editor, right, it just wouldn't appear that way. So HTML provides us the ability to replace, right, certain symbols, certain characters with what's called an HTML entity. So if you can see on the right here, where it says ampersand LT semicolon, that will display the less than symbol. Ampersand GT semicolon displays the greater than symbol. Whoops, I don't know why it's doing that. And then the ampersand AMP semicolon displays an actual ampersand, right? So if you need to code those symbols, right, because if you try to code this thing right here, the browser would try to interpret this as a tag, which it's not. Okay, so just know that you have these HTML entities that can be substituted in, which the browser will render to not think that they're a tag, right? Okay, so we'll do some more examples of this during week 2 of the class. Same thing with like accent marks, right, and special characters in certain languages, right? They have these this syntax of writing here. Ampersand E acute, right? Semicolon will display the E symbol with that line above it, right? With that accent mark above it. And same with this ampersand engrave, right? Displays the capital E. But these, again, are also HTML entities, and you'll learn more about them throughout this class. Okay, so here's a whole table. It says 4.2 of these symbols and the text that you need to put in your browser, right, in order to display them. Okay, again, you don't have to memorize them. Okay, so here is a sample of some HTML, and in this HTML we have an H1 tag, and again, this is right from the textbook, an H2, and a horizontal rule over here, an H2 tag, a paragraph tag, etc. And here's the way it displays on the browser, in the right here, on the right side of the slide. Okay, so notice these features in the previous slide. The title appears on the browser's frame. I'm going to go back right? So there's the title right here, and here's the title right here, okay? And the H1 and H2 is shown in bold, right? Here is the H1, here is the H2. Paradoxes is H1, Russell's is H2, and you can go to the left here to look at the markup. And let's see, the separating line extends the full browser window width, right? The separating line, so that's, let's go back here. This line right here, this horizontal rule, see that right there? It extends the full width of the browser. And an acute accent appears in Margaret's first name. So let's go back here. So you can see, where is it here? Margaret paradox. So where is that character? Let's see. Let's go back here. Margaret's paradox. Is it not here? It says here the separating an acute accent appears in Margaret's first name. So where is it? I don't see where that is. Maybe you can see it, but I don't. Oh, right here. The famous Belgium artist. See Rene? I was looking at the wrong thing. This thing right here. See, Rene here has the E with the accent mark above it, and here is the HTML entity. Okay, so that's a little misleading. An acute accent appears in Margaret's first name. Text in italics is directed by the I tag. So let's go back here and look for the I tag right here. CC nest pas un pipe, right? That's over here. You can see it. It's in italic. Whoops, silly thing. Okay, so let's go on. Compose and check. A productive way to work is to keep two windows open, right? Your editor and your browser. And I talked about this in part 1 of the video, right? Where if I go here to my editor, right here, I'm going to make this, let's just make that width here and bring this over here, right? You can make these two windows, right? Put them side by side and work together. And I know there's a way to do it in Windows 8 and 10 and 7 and stuff like that. But if I do it here, I used to be able to, see, I knew I'd screw it up. So again, you want to have a good workflow where you can see your code and you can see the emitted output. Okay. Check the result in the browser by reload or refresh. Sometimes you may have to hit shift refresh, so if your page doesn't reload correctly, especially if you start modifying your style sheet, which we really haven't talked about yet. There are some services, and I have some videos on this in week 1 of the class, and it talks about how to validate your markup, how to make sure that it's correct. Okay, I'm not going to go through these slides in this video because I want you to go and watch those videos in week 1. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so we have validation services for both HTML and CSS. Okay, and we really haven't talked about CSS yet, but we will. Okay, so again, go watch those videos. So let's talk about cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets can be used to control the layout and styling of web pages. Remember in class I talked about the structure versus the presentation of the page. The HTML is the structure of the page, and CSS is used to lay out or style the content on the web page. Okay, setting global styles. Okay, now remember I told you that we're first learning how to use style sheets, and you can place a style tag in the head section and code up some CSS in the head section. But if you remember me talking about what happens when you have, say, a website with more than one page, you know, you're not going to want to hard code in the head section of every web page this style information, right? You're going to want to remove it and place it in its own sheet that can be referenced and used by all the web pages for your site. Okay, so you can start off by taking a set of style tags, putting them in the head section here, and creating this selector, as it's called body, and that's going to apply to everything that's in the body of your HTML page. And here is a property that says background-color, and notice, by the way, it's in these curly braces, right? Curly braces. And again, you'll get used to this. Background-color says black. Okay, black. So it says make the background color black. Notice the colon here and the semicolon here. Then it says make the color white. Okay? Make the color, and that happens to be of the font, white. The background color is of the entire page. So this results in the background being black and all text on the page being white. Okay, so I want you to try that. Try to, create a start page, put some put some text in some paragraphs, and see what it looks like. Okay. So the way this works is you give the name of the tag you want to control. And in the previous example, it was body, right? Body is a tag, but don't use the brackets around the name when you code CSS. Don't use the brackets, the angle brackets. Okay. After the element name and inside those curly braces is where you put this list of property value pairs separated by semicolons. Okay. Inline styling, again, very bad, right? So inline styles allow you to hard code some style information right on a tag. And again, you can see an example here in the middle of the page where the tag happens to be a bold tag for B, and it has style as an attribute, and the attribute value says color red. Right? And then we have the text and the closing tag. Now, again, bad practice. You never really want to do anything like this, but I just want you to know that you can do it. Okay? So in the book, there's this paradox page, and that's the example we looked at a couple slides ago, where it wants you to go in and change the, assign these selectors, body, paragraph, H1 and H2, and assign these property value pairs here to see how this style information, how CSS works, right? So if you do that, right, actually there it is, I have a slide of it, okay? And here, where we have the style equals red, right, you can see here that this CSS, again, I'm going to flip back, right, that CSS in the style tags in the head section of your page will make the paradox page look just like that, okay? So take a look at that. You need to code it because you'll be asked to code something like this, okay? So take a look at it, pause the video, go back, find it in your textbook, and code it up. Okay. So everyone good so far? Okay, if you have any questions, please ask them in Slack. Okay, so links, right? I think you all know what links are by now, right? Because you've used the web and you know that you click on these things inside of a page, right, that bring you to somewhere else on the web or that site or whatever, right? So there are two parts to a hyperlink. The highlighted text in the current document, which is called the anchor text, that's going to be the thing you click on. It may or may not be highlighted. You can control all that using CSS. And then the address of the other web page, called the hyperlink reference, right? So when you click on that link, it's going to take you somewhere, right? So the address is specified in the anchor tag using the href attribute. And if you remember from a couple slides ago, maybe at the beginning of this video where I had that whole table of all the HTML tags, right? It showed the href attribute as part of the anchor tag. Now, the highlighted text is contained between the opening and closing anchor tags. So let's dig a little further here. So you begin an anchor tag, and I'm on this bullet right here. It says begin with angle bracket A, and make sure there's a space after the A, but not before it, right? Because A is the actual anchor. It's the start of the anchor. Then you have the attribute href equals, and URL is something you're going to fill in, which is going to be the address, right, or the name of the thing you want to link to, right? It has to be within double quotes. Close the anchor tag with the closing angle bracket. Give the anchor some text, right? Typically, you'll see like click here, which is not really great, but just some text that's going to tell the user that there's something if they click there, right? And then after that text, close the tag with the /a closing tag. Okay. So here, right here on the screen, you can see that there is a sample, right? It says Bertrand, then it has an anchor tag, href equals, and then this URL, right, to this particular page, right, this HTML page on the web. We have the closing angle bracket, then we have the text, the text that we want to appear, and then the closing anchor tag. So you can see right here, Bertrand Russell, that's supposed to be an arrow. Bertrand Russell, and Russell is underlined, right? So if a person hovered their mouse over that, they'd get the hand, right, or the hand showing the link. And if you looked in the status bar of your browser at the very bottom, it would probably show you where it's going to link to. So with that, that's part 2 of the video for week 1. Make sure you bring up your code editor, your text editor in your browser, and you start to try to code some links. Maybe create a link to clark.edu or Facebook or whatever site you want, and give it a shot. In fact, before I end, let me just create an anchor link for you. Okay, so right here, I'm in Notepad++, and I'm gonna create an anchor tag here. I'm going to say href equals, and I'll say Clark College. I'll close the anchor tag, and I'll go back here, and I'll put the address for Clark College, http://clark.edu. Okay, it's right there. I'll hit save. And by the way, the browser, the editor is wrapping the text for us, so don't hit the enter key. See? I made it bigger so you can see it. I'm going to refresh the page here, and now you can see we have the hand with the finger there, and I'm going to click on it, and it's going to take me to clark.edu. And again, that's how we do links. There's a lot more to learn about links. There are some additional attributes that you should be including, but we'll get into that, all right? So stop the video, pick up or pull out or launch, right, your text editor, whether it be Notepad++ on the PC or Text Wrangler, and your web browser, and start coding a little bit. Oops. All right. If you have any questions, catch me on the Slack questions channel.